Here's something weird about your brain. The moment you spend $50, you get a little rush of excitement. It feels good. Really good, actually. But here's what nobody tells you. That same $50, if you never spent it, could have quietly turned into $1,500 over the next 20 years. And the craziest part? Your brain is literally wired to choose the rush over the wealth. Every single time. Let's start with something that probably happened to you this week. You're scrolling through your phone. Maybe it's Instagram, maybe it's TikTok. You see an ad for something. Could be anything. New headphones, a trendy water bottle, some gadget that promises to change your morning routine. And it's only $50. $50 doesn't feel like a lot, right? I mean, it's not like you're buying a car. You work hard, you deserve it, so you buy it. And here's the thing. In that moment, it feels completely justified. When you click that buy button, your brain released a chemical called dopamine. It's the same chemical that gets released when you eat your favorite food, when you get likes on social media, when you win a game. And your brain absolutely loves that feeling. Here's the problem. Your brain doesn't care about your financial future. It cares about right now. So you spend the $50, you get the dopamine, you feel good for maybe an hour, maybe a day. This is what I call the $50 dopamine trap. Most people think the reason they're not building wealth is because of the big things. The car payment, the rent, the student loans. But there's something else quietly destroying your ability to build wealth, and it's these tiny $50 purchases. Let's say you make one $50 impulse purchase per week. Just one. That's about $200 a month. Over a year, that's $2,400. Now, most people stop the math right there. But here's what they're missing. It's not about what you spent. It's about what you didn't invest. If you took that same $200 per month and invested it in a simple index fund that averages about 7% annual return, here's what happens. After 10 years, you'd have about $34,000. After 20 years, you'd have over $100,000. After 30 years, you'd have nearly $250,000. Let me say that again. $50 a week, invested instead of spent, becomes $240,000 in 30 years. That's the real cost of the dopamine trap. Now, here's where this gets really interesting from a psychology perspective. Your brain has two systems for making decisions. Scientists call them System 1 and System 2. System 1 is fast, automatic, and emotional. It's the part of your brain that sees something shiny and says, I want that. System 2 is slow, logical, and analytical. It's the part that understands compound interest and long-term thinking. Here's the problem. System 1 is way stronger than System 2, and it's faster. When you see that product online, System 1 fires up immediately. System 2, the logical part, is slower to activate. And by the time it shows up to say, hey, maybe we should think about this, System 1 has already clicked the buy button. This is why you can know, intellectually, that you should be saving and investing, but you still make the purchase. It's not because you're stupid, it's because your brain is literally designed to prioritize immediate rewards over future gains. And companies know this. They've built entire business models around exploiting this weakness in your brain. Why do you think everything is marketed as only a certain price, only $49? Why do you think there's one-click purchasing? The entire consumer economy is built on triggering your dopamine system. But here's something even more fascinating. The dopamine hit you get from spending money actually gets weaker over time. It's called hedonic adaptation. The first time you buy something, the dopamine rush is strong. But the more you repeat that behavior, the less intense the feeling becomes. So you need to spend more, or spend more often, to get the same feeling. This is why people get trapped in this cycle. Meanwhile, the opposite is true for investing. When you invest money, there's no immediate dopamine hit. In fact, it kind of hurts. But here's the beautiful part. The satisfaction you get from watching your investments grow actually increases over time. The first month you invest, you might have $200 in your account. Doesn't feel like much. But then it's $2,000, then $10,000, then $50,000. Investing is the exact opposite of the dopamine trap. It feels bad at first, but gets better over time. So what do you actually do with this information? First, understand that you cannot fight your dopamine system with willpower alone. You need to build systems that work with your brain, not against it. Every time you want to make a $50 impulse purchase, don't tell yourself no. Instead, tell yourself not yet. Open your investment app and invest $50 first. Right then, in that moment, then tell yourself, if you still want the thing in 48 hours, you can buy it. And here's what happens. About 80% of the time, after 48 hours, you won't even remember what you wanted to buy. Second, gamify your investing the same way companies gamify your spending. Set a goal. Maybe it's your first $10,000. Maybe it's your first $100,000. Track your progress. Your brain needs dopamine, so give it dopamine from the right source. Third, and this is important, don't try to cut out every single small purchase. The point is awareness. The point is recognizing when you're spending for dopamine versus spending for actual value. If you genuinely love coffee and a fancy latte twice a week brings you real joy, keep doing it. But if you're buying random stuff online because you're bored or stressed, that's the dopamine trap. Here's the final thing I want you to understand. Every $50 you spend is really a choice between two different versions of your future. One version is where you get a tiny hit of pleasure right now and then nothing. The other version is where you feel a tiny bit of discomfort right now, but that $50 quietly grows into something that actually changes your life. Your brain is always going to try to convince you to choose the first option. But you're not just your dopamine system. You have the ability to recognize what's happening. The $50 dopamine trap isn't really about $50. It's about whether you're going to let your brain's craving for immediate pleasure quietly steal your financial future, one small purchase at a time. Or whether you're going to recognize what's happening, work with your brain instead of against it, and build wealth in a way that actually feels sustainable. The choice is yours. But now, at least, you know what's really at stake. Thanks for watching.